This is Jonathan Aggie of Fifth Pro Boxing Fans, joined by Shane McGuigan here at McGuigan's Gym. Shane, how's the YouTube channel going?
All right, mate. Yeah, I haven't done anything in a while, but I need to get it back up. There's just not been much fights going on for us. So once we get the fights scheduled, and we'll tell you what, I might do one around like a week before Adam's, and then do his fight week and stuff like that. It'll be quite fun.
Adam obviously has a fight date, no opponent announced just yet, but November 15th, big stage, Eubank Bank card. What does a win here do for his career?
Elevates him to a different, to a different status with a different audience. I think he's headlined Sky quite a few times. He's got a lot of good traction off there. He had a good win against the former world champion in Lipnets in his last fight. Frustrated in the June fight that fell through, but and then obviously there's a change of opponent here, which is also quite frustrating. But the most important thing is that he's boxing on the card. He knows when he's boxing, he knows what weight it is, and he'll box anybody. And as long as the preparation's right, we're excited about it.
Speak to him just then, he was saying about, potential Richardson Hitchens fight, Gary Antoine Russell, and he said a Dalton Smith fight would be better for a unification. Is that how you see it?
Of course, I've been saying that for ages. I genuinely believe that Dalton has the ability to win a world title. I don't think Matthias is the same fighter he was a few years ago. I think Dalton, is a great counter puncher. He doesn't like going to you. He's not going to have to go to you because Matthias is going to be right on him, and he's going to be able to pick his moments and pick his spots. And I think if he hurts him within the first six, Dalton, I think he can really settle him down. If he doesn't, it's going to be a hard 6 rounds at the end of the fight, but I think he'll win the first 6, and then it's down to a fight at 2 halves. But I'm confident he can win the fight, and obviously we want him to win the fight because it sets up a bigger fight for Adam and him down the line.
Ellie Scotty, disappointment for her. She was set to be on that Tank Jake Paul card, but unfortunately injuries happened. But is that going to get rescheduled against Flores?
Yeah, it's looking like it's rescheduled. So nothing's confirmed yet, but I think Flores had to have that rematch with her Romeo, but apparently I think that we might have been able to smooth that over, and hopefully we can push the fight back to January, February, and that's the plan. So if that's the case, then it's frustrating, but it's the fight that she wants. Just a few months later, probably not on the same magnitude of the card, but this is the way it works, and you've got to go in there with 100%. On an undisputed fight, you've got to be in 100%. And I think Ellie was getting to the stage where she was genuinely able to do 25-30% of the training. And I was like, you need to, we'll give it another week, but it has to start picking up soon. If it's not picking up, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I said, the only way you can get this better is if you can go and get it treated to and seen to. And it's frustrating, but that's just the way it is, Ellie. And I think, it was a collective decision from the team.
Chris Billam-Smith, there was talk about WBO interim fight with Frez. What's the situation there? I don't know if it's going to go ahead or not. What can you tell us?
At the moment, we're still unsure. We understood that Boxer weren't going to bid for it. We spoke to the Germans. We were trying to come to a deal. Gustavo with the WBO said, come on, we're going to force this purse bid if you can't come to a conclusion quite quickly, which we didn't get to. They forced the purse bid and then get pushed back. So it's it's one of them times. The broadcasters have to want the fight, and I think where Chris is at his stage of his career, he's always in great fights, but it makes a lot of sense with Chris versus another name, and I think Frest isn't that big of a name, and I don't think, even though it's an interim world title fight, I don't think it values. It doesn't. They're not as excited about it. They want more of an established name, I think, and that's where we're at right now.
I think a Badu Jack fight is possible.
Well, his fight's been pushed back to December, hasn't it? So hopefully get the winner of that if it goes ahead.
And what's the latest with Caroline? How's she doing?
Yep, she's in training, and hopefully she'll have a date soon. Been frustrating transition from when Boxer and Sky parted ways. It's been frustrating for everybody. So, but you know, she's been in the gym the whole time and ticking over. And she had 2 good wins. Well, she had a draw, non-contest or whatever it was at the start of the year, where she was on the way to a knockout, and then had a good win afterwards. Where, you know, wasn't the best. She was fighting a virus as well. So the fact that she got through a tough challenger like that, it's stands her in good stead. And I think, you know, she wants big fights. MVP are obviously excited or interested in her and trying to sign everybody excited about female boxing. So, you know, whether we do something with them or we do something with another person and start collaborating with them, I think they've got all the opponents, and I think that's someone's, you know, cards that we would probably end up boxing on.
Was it important that Azim stayed on sort of a national platform like the BBC? I'm sure other promoters would have wanted him. DAZN, I'm sure, would have been interested, but was that the lure to stay with Boxer, being on BBC?
I think it appeals to a completely different audience. Some might not transition into going to his fights, but they'll still allow him to become a household name and a relevant name. I think you've got a very boxing audience over at DAZN. It's a good platform, don't get me wrong. It's a very heavily boxing audience. I think it's saturated with fighters. I think, you know, when you go across to the BBC or you go to Sky, you've got the opportunity to, you know, to sort of get the attention that you deserve, and also raise your profile and platform. And I think, you know, that was the strategic move as a team. This is a great card to be on. And then obviously, you know, there's some opportunities on BBC.
And lastly, Shane, did you watch Saturday night? What did you think of Parker Wardley?
Yeah, I watched the fight. Yeah, I thought I was frustrated for Parker because it was a good win for Wardley, don't get me wrong, but Parker went out there, it looked like he didn't have the respect for him, and had him hurt a little bit in the second round, walked on to a good shot, and got back to his boxing and then started picking up rounds. I just don't understand why he kept trying to take him out. You know, you're in there against the guy that's dangerous, and only dangerous when he's hurt. Wardley, only dangerous when he's sort of on rocky legs, a bit like Nigel Benn. When you've got the Usyk fight down the line, and you know, like that's the next fight on the cards. You know, you got to be sensible. You know, you got to be thinking straight, and it's frustrating for him because he's had some good wins, and you know, he's worked himself into a great position, coming from a bad loss against Joe Joyce, worked himself the whole way up, and to get complacent against Fabio Wardley is frustrating for him.
Did you feel it was stopped too early, or do you think it was the right decision?
I would be frustrated if I was Andy Lee in the corner. But you know, it's heavyweight boxing. I've never seen a guy stop a fight, win a fight, and the fight been stopped, and as he's missed the shot, he's almost fallen back because he's that exhausted. Yeah, I think it was a dubious stoppage for sure.
Lastly, if it is Usyk against Wardley, obviously Usyk will be a heavy favourite again. But what would Wardley have to do to win that fight?
Swing.
Just land something big.
Swing. Just swing from your boots, mate.
Yeah. All right, Shane, appreciate your time. Anything you want to add, or we're done? All right, we're done. Cheers, Shane. Nice one.